Mr. Speaker, we've had a rather large number of questions about the behaviour and proceedings in the House of Commons chamber, particularly Prime Minister's questions. Further to reforming Prime Minister's questions, and this probably is relevant to more than just PMQs, Paul Nelson from Cumbria asks if you can tell MPs to use shorter questions. What action can you take to prevent time wasting and speed up proceedings?
I certainly can say to members, please ask shorter questions, and over the last few weeks I have done so, and I think a study of the record would show, not just of Prime Minister's questions, but more widely, that we've got through a lot more questions. And I do think that is the result of the fact that I've said, look, I want shorter questions and shorter answers, and that members, backbenchers and ministers and opposition frontbenchers have to a considerable extent cooperated with this. What can I do if people don't keep it short? The answer to Mr. Nelson is that I can and do cut people off, not because I want to tread on anyone, but because I want to maximise the number of questions that we get through to accelerate the business and ensure that there's a fair opportunity for people to participate. So several times over the last month I've said to people, backbenchers and frontbenchers alike on both sides of the House, I'm sorry, that question is too long and we must move on. And I will go on doing that, because I think that people have got to get into the habit of asking short questions, and ministers need to provide short answers. I think that's what the public wants to see. In terms of wider behavioural issues, the question of what you call time wasting, well, there is quite a lot of heckling that takes place. Some heckling is to be expected, and it doesn't have to be an atmosphere of complete silence, but I think that statements should be listened to in silence. And I think that if there is very aggressive heckling, it's boorish, it's unattractive, it's a very yah-boo, dare I say it, rather male, old-fashioned, aggressive culture. I don't like it, I think the public doesn't like it, and I am determined to try, over a period, with cooperation from colleagues, to bring about a change, because I think, if I may say so, in seeking to bring about a change in this, the public is with me.
A number of our contributors are very interested in the format of Prime Minister's questions. They specifically made suggestions around either extending Prime Minister's questions to an hour or to introduce a second PMQs a week. Are you able to influence this?
It's something that can be looked at over a period. I mean, I know that there are strong views on the issue. There are people who feel that the one session is not sufficient and that it would be better to have two. I have an open mind about that, and there are people who say, well, no, you can keep one session, but you should make it longer. In the immediate term, my priority is to get through more by having shorter questions and shorter answers, and that applies to everybody. Shorter questions from both sides of the House, obviously, shorter questions from the front bench, and shorter answers. The other issues, should we have more sessions or should they be longer, I think should be looked at. And it may well be a matter on which not only I can offer an opinion over a period, but one or two of the committees of the House might want to reflect.
Sarah Harrison from Huddersfield asks, what would it take to achieve the public's respect for Parliament and politicians?
Transparency about our behaviour, including our claims on public funds, and clear evidence that we are all working hard in the representation of our constituencies and in the scrutiny of the legislation and other policies of government. I think if we can show that we're acting honourably and working efficiently, that will do a great deal over a period to restore faith in the idea that politics is an honourable calling.